All right, now I made a chart, and I have to say right off the bat that this chart was really, the heart of the chart, which contains the outlines of each section, verse by verse section of the NASB Bibles app. Okay, based on Matthew chapter 24. Okay, that comes from them. Okay, but copying it and putting it in order. Okay, that was done by me and my wife. And I have to thank Reza for typing out the sections found and recorded. Okay, in that NASB app. Okay, so I have to thank her. Now I did the rest. I did the numbers and stuff like that, and then like for example Matthew 24, the title of the series, who was it made by, and all that other good stuff. The verses. I did that. She just did the titles of each section, and I did everything else. So it was pretty good. All right, now let's get to it though. Now it says over here, it says Christ's return. Now remember, in Matthew chapter 24, it talks about the Antichrist. Now, I said previously that the Antichrist is not mentioned by Antichrist, but he did mention, meaning Christ our Lord, did mention, okay, false Christs. Now, that comes under the umbrella, meaning the Antichrist title comes under the umbrella of that sort of broader statement of false Christs will arise. Now, false Christ will arise, and he is the Antichrist, meaning the Antichrist. Well, he falls under the umbrella of all the other, okay, false Christs. But he is the main, vain false Christ, pseudo Christ, if you will. Okay, so I mean, he is mentioned, but not specifically as Antichrist. That's found and recorded, I believe, in verse 18 of chapter 2 of First John. Okay. All right, so let's look at it. This is over here again. Okay, Christ's return. That's the main title that I decided to put on this, in this chart, whatever you want to call it. It says Matthew chapter 24, full, and I might add full, before the word full, the full Greek series. Okay, I'll put the word the in there. Um, Number one, signs of Christ's return. Now that has to do with verses 1 to 14. I couldn't put the word through there all the time, so I just put 2. And there's no dash on the cell phone, like a middle sign of like a minus sign. So I had to do the best I can and just put 2. Number 2, okay, perilous times. And that's found and recorded, okay, in verses 15 to 28. Number 3, the glorious return, meaning the glorious return of Christ, and that's found and recorded in verses 29, okay, to 31. Number 4, parable of the fig tree. Now, I may put the word the in there, even though the NASB doesn't have the word the. That's why my wife didn't type out the, because there is no the in the NASB, so I might just type it out anyway. Instead of just a parable of the fig tree, I'll just put the word the probably in there. Now, that's found and recorded in verses 32 through or to 41. Number 5, be ready for his, meaning Christ's, coming. Now, that's found and recorded in verses 42 to 51, which is the end of the chapter. Okay? And it was made by me, and I might add the word Reza in there, and Reza, so I'll just put by Angelo Kiki, Ruchi Quinones, and Reza Quinones. So I might type that in there if it will fit everything neatly in one package. Well, The main vein, like I said before, coming that this speaks about, meaning this chapter, okay, the gospel kata Mathion, chapter kappa delta. By the way, that's how it is in Greek. Kappa delta. Delta is 4, and then kappa has to do with 20, right? The main coming that it speaks about is Jesus is coming. Okay, Jesus our Lord. Uh, the coming of Jesus, in one way or another, even by either by plain language or just phenomenal speech, okay, is found and recorded, okay, 12 times in chapter 24, 3 times in chapter 25, and that's one discourse. Okay, chapter 24 and 25, okay, has to do with one sort of event, okay, the teaching on the Mount of Olives by Jesus to the disciples because of the question that they asked in verse 3 of this chapter 24. Okay, okay, show us, tell us the sign, or show us the sign, or whatever the case may be, of of your coming and of the end of the age. And he does much more than that. He even prophesies their deaths. Okay, so they were expecting, just a date or something like that. They didn't get it. He didn't know about it. They didn't get it, and they weren't expecting Jesus. Jesus's prophecy concerning their death. Okay, so meaning the disciples' deaths. Okay, so they were asking about a couple of things, and they got more than they bargained for. Now, it says over here, Matthew chapter 24, full Greek series, and the first part of it is signs of Christ's, okay, return. Okay, signs of Christ's return. Now, I will have to say something here. Let me just take out the highlight. That there are primary signs of Jesus' return and secondary signs of Jesus' return. Now, I borrowed those sort of phrases from the primary and secondary personal ending chart, okay, based on the Greek. So primary and secondary. So I borrowed it and shifted it over to, okay, the signs of Jesus' return. So you got primary signs, the sun being darkened, the moon not giving its light. Those are the primary signs, etc. But the secondary signs, or the minor signs, if you will, have to do, okay, with wars and rumors of wars and pestilences and earthquakes, and I mean those are general signs. Those are secondary signs. Those are not the major signs. One of the majors, majors, but one of the major signs, okay, found and recorded in this chapter, is the abomination of desolation spoken by Daniel the prophet. Okay, set up in the temple of God. That's one of the major signs. Like from right then and there, at the breaking of the covenant by Antichrist with the many, you can count 1,335 days until Jesus comes back. Blessed are those who reach the 1,335 days specified by Daniel the prophet in the book by his name. Uh, chapter 12 has that. So let's go back to the scriptures. Let's go back to the Greek. Okay. And I don't think I dealt with all the Greek of the first 3 verses, but I want to deal with that in this sitting. Okay. All right. Now, the Greek of chapter 24, the beginning of chapter 24, verse 1, goes something like this. It says, Kai exelthon, and so that's Kai translated into and exelthon, that's spelled out epsilon, kasi, epsilon, lambda, theta, nowadays called theta, omega with the graph marker, and then nu, nowadays called ni. It looks like a V, but it's not a V, it's an N, like I like to say, just in case somebody's just starting off in Greek, Now, having gone, okay, having gone forth, and that's in the I believe in the aorist tense, aorist, and that's a participle. So active. So aorist participle active, and let's talk about the omega nu. Now let me see where this is over here. Okay, the omega and the nu okay, is a participial morpheme, but okay, it was dealt with. Okay, it's really to tell you the honest truth, it's really an omicron with a new atau. Okay, so that's your new atau is basically your a participial morphine and aorist active side of the chart. The new atau, that's a participial morphine. Okay, and the masculine one as well, also though. Okay, but the tau was dropped off. And then the case ending was dropped off, meaning there'll be an omicron there, but the case ending sigma, okay, was dropped off as well. So the reason why it looks different than your regular, new tile construction and case ending, whatever the case ending is going to be, right? Is because letters were dropped off and you're just left off with omega nu. That's the secret behind, okay, Ha'on. Let's look at that in the Greek Septuagint. Okay, a copy of it anyway. Let's go to it. And this is one thing I wanted to do for a very, very long time. A very long time. So we're going to look at it. Probably going to look at it for the first time. And I'll say no here. Okay. Now let's go to the Greek Septuagint. Okay, but Exodus. And let's check that out, okay? So that's just it. Now, let's go to chapter, I believe it's in chapter 3. That's easy, but let me see if it's either in verse 15 or 14. So we'll look at verse 14. We'll check that out. Okay, all right. It says over here, kai a pen hate as pras mo'u sane. Mo'u sane. There's no diuresis over here. There should be a diuresis marker there. But but over here, maybe not. But kai, it says and then apen is third person, the person in the epo paradigm. Okay, said. Okay, I say, if you will, whatever the case may be. Kai apen, and then a hatheos. So hatheos, okay, that's a subject nominative. He's the subject of the sentence performing the action of saying something. Okay, and said, okay, hatheos. Pras is two. It will be El in Hebrew. Okay, that he said it to Moses, Mo'u Sein, spelled out capital Mu, Omega Upsilon, nowadays called Epsilon, Sigma Eta, nowadays called Eta, and Nu, nowadays called Ni. Nowadays is a very lazy way of saying modern Greek. Okay, Ego Eimi Ho'on. So it's here. Ego Eimi Ho'on. Ego is from the ego paradigm. Ego Mu Moime. Okay, let me see, Hemes, Hemon, Hemin, Hemas. Okay, and so those are those are pronouns and first person personal pronouns from the ego paradigm. Like I said before, it's spelled out epsilon, gamma, omega. So that means I. And then Amy is a me verb. Me verbs are very unique. They're very. What do you mean they're very unique? They're very unique because me verbs are they have reduplication, but it doesn't have to do with the perfect tense when you're talking about didomi. Like a delta iota delta, and the aorist tense will be edoken, found and recorded in Revelation 1:1. We went through that. Another me verb is found and recorded there. I think it's like degnumi. And the word for show, okay, to show. That's an infinitive there, as a matter of fact. Dexai, okay, in the same chapter and verse that I quoted earlier, Revelation 1:1. So me verbs are just unique. They're just, that has to do with being athematic, no theme vowel. So that's different. than what we're used to seeing. Okay, in Eta Uzi and all that other good stuff. Throw in there the new, new movable, and so there's just a unique set of verbs, verbal forms. Okay, that's just it. As over here, Kai Apen again. Kai Apen Hafe As Pras Mo Usain. Okay, Ego Amy, her own. Okay, Kai will get into that. Apen Hutos. Okay, Eres, Toys, the sons. Okay, hui ois, and that's in the dative case, dative plural. Yisrael, Yisrael, okay, Ha'on, so it says it twice, Ha'on, Ape, Stalken, Me, okay, Ap, Ape, Stalke, Me, let me see, it says over here, Ape, Stalken. Now that's in the perfect tense. Okay, the capital epsilon, okay, is proving that to me, showing me that, and then that's a third person. Okay, uh, has sent me. Well, it's just let me see over here. Go. Ape Stalken. Okay, so that's alpha, B, epsilon, sigma, tau, nowadays called tough, alpha, lambda, kappa, epsilon, nu, me, and this man's me. It's from the ego paradigm. Also, ego mu moi me. Same paradigm as ego. First person pronoun. Okay, pras humas has sent me. Okay, to you all. Humas, and humas is from the su paradigm. Okay, susu soy se, humes, humon, humin, humas. But let's concentrate on the mentioning of ha'on. Okay, now I want to talk about this. Let me locate the first one. Okay, so you can know where I'm at. It says kai epen hate as prasmo usain ego emi on. Now the article, obviously weak demonstrative. Okay, article ha, and that's an omicron. Now they call omicron with a rough breathing marker. Everybody knows that. I think it's found like 20,000 times in the Greek New Testament. Ha, at least an article anyway. Doesn't have to be ha, but just the article. And so that's showing that there's something that's coming up, and remember a verbal adjective is coming up. Okay, a verbal adjective. Okay, is coming up in the nominative singular construction. That's a key. That's a key. Even though we're not seeing that, okay, in the verb itself, on, okay, because it was shaved off. The case ending was shaved off, and the part of the participial morpheme was shaved off also. Okay, so I guess the Greeks just didn't want to say, okay, aha, ontas. Okay, I mean haon. I guess they just like that better. You know, so haon, like I spoke about the article. Okay, but on is a participle. Participles are verbal adjectives that can act either, adverbially or adjectively. Okay, verbal adjectives. Now, the thing about verbal adjectives or participles, that they come in two chunks. They come in two parts. Okay, uh, 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 and they have to do with two different systems. What do you mean? Well, a participle, the first part of a participle, okay, consists of the verb itself, okay, and so that's a verb. That's the first part. But the second part, okay, consists of a noun, or at least a piece of it, okay, the case ending of a noun. So you have a verb with a noun joining together, making one word, one. And that is the tricky part about a participle, that you have to know the two systems. You have to know your verbal system, and then you have to know, okay, your the sort of the other part of it all. Okay, you have to know, okay, your participial morphemes. You have to know about the nu and the tau. You have to know about ta. You have to know about mena, okay, and all for the masculine. And you have to know about usa and huia and mene. You have to know about the feminine participial morphemes, and then you have to know about also on, because you have to figure out, because a lot of words end in on in the Greek Septuagint and in the Greek New Testament, like the two most important words in all of the Bible, okay, is huparchon and labon. Why? Well, those are found and recorded in Philippians chapter 2, verses 6 and 7, respectively. Okay, huparchon, which means subsisting there, that it has to do with Christ's, okay, first essential nature, which I call nature A or one. And then Labon, in regards to Jesus, our Lord, has to do with his secondary nature, okay, his human nature, and that is designated as nature, okay, all right, nature 2 or B. So we're talking about two different natures, two distinct natures, not a blending of the natures, okay, not separating the person into two persons, because then you're going to fall into the heresy of Eutyches and people like that, that had the person of Christ completely wrong, okay. And that's why you needed the Council of Chalcedon in AD 451 to get the natures of Christ, okay, straight. Okay, so that's just it. But getting back to on, right? Getting back to on, you have the omega and the nu. Okay, now the omega, okay, lengthened the omicron and thus becoming omega, right? But what is the nu there for? Well, the nu is part of the new tau participial morpheme. One of the ways that you can form a participle is by using the morpheme n and t, or nu and tau. That has to do with the aorist active forming of a participle. Okay, that you form a participle by a participial morpheme or form. The morpheme comes from the Greek word morphe. Okay, if I don't record it incidentally, okay, in twice, the form of God, the form of man, has and morphe te hubarchon. So the word form is there. The word form is found, okay, at least 2 times in the Greek New Testament, 3 times if you add, and you really can't do it, but if you add, the ending part of Mark's gospel, okay, Mark chapter 16, verses, what would it be? Verses 9 through 20, I believe, okay, which is verse 20 is the end of the chapter. You understand what I'm saying? So on became on, but let's just say if we just had no omega but an omicron, and the complete participial morpheme is nu and tau. Over here you just have the nu, okay? So they shaved it off. But if you would have the whole thing, you're not just going to have, okay, a verb and a participial morpheme, okay? You're going to have your case ending along with this. Okay, you're going to have your omicron, but the real case ending is sigma. Okay, so you will have, if it was just like put on the page here, like the way it was, okay, it'll be omicron, nu, tau, omicron, final sigma, at least in the way that some Greek manuscripts have, okay, the sigma, okay. The ancient sigma was a C-looking letter, and that was used as a sigma all the way across the board. No intervocalic sigma, no capital sigma like the way we have it and stuff like that, according to Sinaiticus and Vaticanus and texts like that. You understand what I mean? But the own became own because there was a change that took place. Instead of the Omicron Nu Tau Omicron Final Sigma or Sigma deal, okay, you were left with only two letters out of all those letters. You're left with two letters, Omega Nu. Probably because of pronunciation, Haon, sounds better than Ha Antas, right? So the case ending was shaved off, okay, um, and the tau was shaved off from the participial morpheme. So you add, um, if you want to make a participle, okay, a Greek participle, you have forms that you can use, you know, one at a time, but you have forms that you can use, uh, as the participial morpheme. So that's actually what really happened, you know. Right now, let's get to verse 15, just to cap it off anyway. Let's see here. Okay, now verse 15 says something like this. Kai epen hape as, again, it says over here. Okay, Pauline, okay, says Pauline pras Mo'usin hutas. In this way, okay, Eres says over here, tois huios, the sons of Israel, okay, Israel here, Israel, okay, Kurias hateas, the Lord God, okay, ton pateron, uh, God of your fathers, okay, God of your fathers, God, okay, the God of Abraham, okay, and the God, even though it doesn't have a ha here, see, it doesn't say a God, okay, a God of this and a God of that. You understand what I'm saying? Right? It doesn't say that at all. There's no, it says ha us initially, okay, over here, but you go on, it says over here, ha theos ton anthropon, and anthropon is the genitive plural of father. Okay, the own is not a participle when you're dealing with uh, um, pateron. You're dealing with a noun, so that omega nu, okay, is a genitive plural morpheme, okay, or case ending, if you will. Okay, so I mean, that's just it. Again, it says over here, hate as ton pateron, hate as ton pateron, hui, and then it says humon, hour. That's humon is hour. Okay, or your, I should say your. Okay, that's not hamon. That's humon. Second person personal pronoun from the plural paradigm. Theos Abraham, the God of Abraham, and okay, Theos Isaac. Okay, and Greek or Kai, Theos. Okay, Jacob, the God of Jacob. Abastalkin has sent me, okay, pras humas, okay, to you all, if you will. Yeah, it says over here, Tutamu Esten. This is my, okay, let's see, where am I at over here? This is my name, Anama. This is my name or shame in biblical Hebrew. In modern Hebrew, will be Shem. Okay, this is my name, okay, forever. Okay, I, Onion, forever. And Greek or Kai, memorial, it says over here. Mu, nu, eta is key for the word memory. You see it in Luke's Gospel, chapter 16, also there. Remember when Abraham said to the rich person in Shield to remember. Anyway, it says over here, uh, mu, uh, mu nu ater or mi ni ita. Okay, and then mu omicron sigma upsilon nu omicron nu. So mene ma Sunan. Okay, memorial name. Okay, it says Geneon, Geneis, from generation to generation. Okay, so that's just it right there. But you see, the famous Ho'on went through some changes. Okay, at least not the article, but at least the participle went through a change. It morphed, and some letters were not used, but they're actually there in your mind when you see something like Ho'on. Okay, and that's just the deal. All right, now I want to stop here and make another part in the future and then finish with this Bible study.